This guy is amazing. No film is too bizarre, too scary, too foreign. No franchise is too comic book or superhero for this guy. He's immersed in all of it. The writer and the critic who regularly comes here on Fridays. He is someone who comes and goes on a rainbow. The magnificent culture blaster, Michael Snyder, everybody.
Hey, Mark. Hi, Kim. Hi, Albert. And hello, audience members. We love you. So glad that you're sticking it out to the bitter end on a Friday, shunted into the corner at the very last soup song of the Mark Thompson show every week. Yeah, it's the Culture Blast. By the way, speaking of blast, the heat in Los Angeles, I split my time between L.A. and San Francisco.
Oh, yes.
The heat, we're in the low 100s. And,
it is brutal.
Oh, my God. And it felt so New York last night. Out of my place, it was like 95 degrees at midnight. I was, what? Climate change is real, people. And, I'll tell you what, that Isaac Hayes song, By the Time I Get to Phoenix? You know that one? I felt like I was in Phoenix. Let's put it that way. That's how hot it is. By the way, I paid attention to you and Michael Shore and your little segment earlier, your Politichat, whatever you want to call it, Politic Talk.
Oh, I like Politichat. That's clever.
That's nice. Anyway, I am so excited for Tuesday's big premiere of Mad Don Beyond Thunderdome. I am so thrilled about this with the useful idiot of the 1% as Mad Don, and of course Kamala Harris as Tina Turner.
Wow.
Two enter, one leaves. I'm thrilled about this big debate on Tuesday.
Man,
there's always been in this country 30 to 35% idiots.
All right,
for sure. One quick sad note before we get on to the movies. Sergio Mendes.
Loved him.
Has passed away here in Los Angeles as of yesterday at the age of 83. He was the leader of Sergio Mendes in Brazil 66, who helped introduce bossa nova music to American popular culture in the 60s and 70s. His covers of Antonio Carlos Jobim's songs were fantastic. They did a version of the Beatles' Fool on the Hill. I was a big fan as a kid. I continue to be a fan. Sergio Mendes.
And then then once he passed 66, Brazil 66, he made it Brazil 77, didn't he?
He did what he had to do to stay in the public eye.
I loved it.
Anyway, a big fan. All right, let's kick things off here with Beetlejuice.
It was great. I loved it.
Okay, we've moved on.
Beetlejuice, come on. The juice is loose again 36 years after director Tim Burton's rollicking horror comedy Beetlejuice. There is finally a sequel featuring three of the original actors returning to their roles, and crucially, they are Michael Keaton as prankster demon Beetlejuice, who wants to actually manifest on this plane of being. Winona Ryder as the goth ingenue and ghost whisperer Lydia Dietz, who is coveted by Beetlejuice, and maybe his means to stay on this plane of being, at least in the first movie, and maybe even in this one.
Coveted, okay. Yeah.
And Catherine O'Hara, the great Catherine O'Hara. You loved her on SCTV and Schitt's Creek. She's back as Lydia's artsy, self-absorbed stepmother, Delia. Although there's a macabre and amusing workaround, we don't see Lydia's father, who was played by the now disgraced actor Jeffrey Jones in the original. We also don't see Alec Baldwin and Gina Davis as the married couple Adam and Barbara Maitland, who are significant to the first movie. And instead, we catch up to Lydia many years later. She can still see dead people, and she now hosts a popular paranormal reality TV show and is a single mom to her skeptical teenage daughter, played by Wednesday Addams herself from the Burton-produced TV show Wednesday. It's Jenna Ortega, kind of a similar role.
Sure.
Dour, dark, amusingly
macabre,
so.
By the way, isn't it?
Yeah. To the movie's credit, it features very enthusiastic and committed performances, including new turns by Monica Bellucci as Beetlejuice's spurned, stitched-together afterlife mate, who ain't crazy about her old flame's obsession with Lydia. Willem Dafoe as a dead detective, Justin Theroux as the producer of Lydia's TV show and her boyfriend, Danny DeVito as another Land of the Dead denizen.
Chock this thing full of stars, haven't they?
Also, Bern Gorman, who you may know from Torchwood or The Hour out of the UK. He plays a church minister. There's excellent art direction and some killer gags and hilarious set pieces. One major musical number is almost as much fun as the first movie's embrace of Harry Belafonte's Deo and Jump in the Line, shake, 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 Sonora. But the script meanders, and it veers close to tumbling down a few gaping plot holes. And yet, the idea of Beetlejuice coming back to this plane of being for, plot reasons is fun. And although it ain't your granddad's Beetlejuice, it is a lot of fun.
Oh, you enjoyed it, even though you felt it was there were some shortcomings.
Exactly. I'd call it a ghoulish goulash.
Huh?
And, I think people that loved the first movie are going to enjoy this. At the screening, there were lots of younger people cosplaying as Beetlejuice and Lydia. I thought that was kind of indicative of how this is going to be received.
Wow.
It was great. I loved it.
It's had a long and beloved life as a property via streaming, and it's back in theaters. Beetlejuice. I want you to remember, Mark, that if you say Candyman 3 times, he shows up, and the same goes for Beetlejuice.
Oh,
So
I didn't. I've got to remember that. Thank you.
Don't repeat his name in sequence. It's not greatness, but I just enjoyed watching it. It was fun. And that counts for a lot in this world, I think.
Let me just interrupt on the heels of that fun. B.O., who is our viewer-listener in Chicago, says, not been on live since last wonderful meetup to put in my tip. He donates $25 to the show. So many VIPs that viewers spoke a little less, but all good. Big thanks, Mark, Courtney, Kim, Albert, and Tony, Katz, Mankiewicz, Michael Snyder, who is with us right now, Avila Shore, and more. Thank you, B.O., for that. We loved you, and we love having you as part of our meetups.
Those Zoom meetups are an absolute blast. I can't wait for the next one. Moving on, I'm always so pleased to come upon an unheralded movie that turns out to be spellbinding and intricate and ultimately very satisfying to watch. They are actually kind of rare for direct-to-streaming movies, but Rebel Ridge is a truly excellent mix of action and drama from Netflix that starts with one uncomfortable incident and then springboards to another, building from situation to complication as the revelations and thrills mount. There's a smart and
situation, complication, revelations. What was it? That was a Temptation song, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think so.
Ball of Confusion.
There's a smart script with really thoughtful dialogue and a phenomenally assured and charismatic performance from Aaron Pierre, who I recognize from a few TV shows, including Krypton and a couple movies, particularly Foe with Saoirse Ronan and Paul Mescal. Pierre plays Terry, a man whose visit to a small southern town to bail his cousin out of jail is derailed in a major way. So over the course of Terry's quest, we learn that he is not the ordinary fellow that he initially seems. In fact, he may very well have, thank you, Liam Neeson, a certain set of skills.
Oh.
That said, he runs afoul of the local constabulary and small-town bureaucracy. He's confronted by a self-serving chief of police, played with very nasty relish by Don Johnson. And he's looked upon with some degree of sympathy by a local court clerk, played by Anna Sophia Robb. The rest of the ensemble is right on the beam and even features a well-known and revered character actor as a local judge, that being James Cromwell of L.A. Confidential, Babe, Star Trek First Contact, and HBO's 6 Feet Under. To be honest, I thought I'd be in for a treat since the movie was written and directed by Jeremy Saulnier. He's the filmmaker behind Blue Ruin, which is also a small-town noir thriller, and Green Room, which is essentially the story of punk rockers played by Anton Yelchin and Aliyah Shawkat, and a young woman played by Imogen Poots, who are pitted against a group of white supremacists in rural Oregon, led by a very much playing against type Patrick Stewart. Green Room is a trip and a half, and I was right to be excited about Rebel Ridge. It may be even better and a more assured piece of work than those other films.
Wow, you really liked it.
Rebel Ridge is a really good film. These are not big budget bangers. They're just clever, fine-tuned, and emotionally engaging movies that deserve audiences that would otherwise be wasting their time and money on those higher profile efforts. And you can watch this thing right now on Netflix. Rebel Ridge is my big I enjoyed Beetlejuice, but Rebel Ridge.
Wow, you're really plus. I never have to get off the couch. Constabulary is a ding word.
Let's wrap up the movie segment by talking about a film that's been on Netflix for a couple of weeks. It's kind of a Netflix-skewed segment today, I guess. The Deliverance, not to be confused with Deliverance, although in both movies someone squeals like a pig. I have to say, I had high hopes for this. It's directed by Lee Daniels, who co-wrote the script. He's the guy behind Precious, the big Oscar winner.
Oh, sure.
And The Butler with Forrest Whitaker as the White House.
Oh, my God, yes. So this is going to be great, is it?
No. By the way, it's hilarious.
What?
Despite it being kind of a clunker. It's inspired by a true story. I mean, aren't they all? It's set in Pittsburgh in the early 2010s. And in this movie, Andra Day plays biracial single mom Ebony Jackson. Yeah, I know, that's a pretty obvious name. And she has 3 kids by a man who was deployed in Iraq. She has a drinking problem and a checkered past, and a church-going white mama played by Glenn Close, the Glenn Close. So they've all recently moved into a rundown house in a borderline Pittsburgh neighborhood.
Deployed is a ding word, by the way. Yeah.
Money is tight, especially since grandma is on chemo. Things get worse when a malevolent force in the house begins to torment them all. And Close is pretty game here.
So they don't know what it is. It's just a malevolent force.
As soon you find out what it is.
I see. Okay.
I kept thinking maybe they should have called this thing The Blaxorcist or, I don't know, Inner City Haunted House.
Oh, I see.
But Close goes fully bonkers in 1/3 act sequence. The dialogue is beyond outlandish and coarse. The story is a brain explosion as you're watching it, and you're going, is this really happening on screen? And is it really inspired by a true story? In any case, it's one of those, it's a kind of a guilty pleasure because it's so nutty and over the top.
Wow.
Again,
I can watch it right now
on Netflix. It is not a good movie, but it is like, what? It's one of those films where I'm like watching it going, should I turn it off? Should I continue watching?
Can you smart-ass your way through it? Is it a good one for smart-ass comments?
Oh,
we like to do that.
I would say so. In fact, there were a few times when, and forgive me for cultural appropriation, I actually said out loud by myself while watching it, "Oh, no, she didn't." Anyway, The Deliverance is on Netflix. Let me just say that Rebel Ridge is a much better movie.
So your pick of those 3, these are the feature films.
Yes.
Rebel Ridge, then Beetlejuice, and The Deliverance is just what might be a fun indulgence, but know what you're getting,
right.
which is just a fun indulgence.
One additional Netflix note, and then one other TV show. Chaos is a limited series on Netflix.
I saw it with Jeff Goldblum or something?
Jeff Goldblum plays Zeus. Janet McTeer plays Hera. It's presuming that Greek gods really exist and are worshipped in this sort of alternate world of ours. And it's set between Olympus and Crete, which is a thriving city with a lot of god worshippers. And again, it's a modern setting. And it's all about the machinations of the gods and the way the humans interact. And there is a Eurydice and an Orpheus in Crete, and various offspring of Zeus and his many mates are in the pantheon of the gods, and they're all not crazy about Zeus, and he's incredibly paranoid about a prophecy. And I enjoyed the hell out of this thing.
Really? Okay.
Chaos.
I saw the trailer. I didn't know what to make of it. Okay.
It's fun. Even better, Series 4 of Slow Horses just dropped its first episode on Apple TV, all about the intrigue at MI5 in London as the outcasts of the spy agency, led by Gary Oldman's hilariously slovenly Jackson Lamb, are in their own little location in London called Slough House, and that's why they're called the Slow Horses, as they kind of do their best to do their jobs, which in this case, again, deals with terrorism in London and the people that may or may not be behind it.
Sure.
Jack Loudon is back as River. Cartwright, who is sort of the second in command at Slough House. Oldman is hilarious. Kristen Scott Thomas is always a joy to watch. She plays the boss over at MI5, and Jonathan Pryce as a retired spy.
Isn't that great? He's so talented.
And the grandfather of Jack Loudon's River Cartwright, he's back. It is an embarrassment of riches on the acting front, and fun, espionage, craziness. Slow Horses Series 4 started on Apple TV this week. Can't wait for the next step.
I've heard good things about it, too, just from civilians who don't quite have the critic's eye that you do, but I've heard very good things.
Based on the books by Mick Herron, and let me say, my pal Hugh Brown says the books are absolutely great, and he loves the show, too. He thinks these are terrific adaptations.
Slow Horses, Season 4, he loves it. Chaos, he really enjoyed that, too. That's the Zeus and the other Greek gods handling the Greek worship as it comes in, and with their own human, it sounds like, insecurities.
Yeah, it's a satirical comedy.
The Deliverance is the fun inner city urban experience that involves some force in the house that they have to figure out. He says, Michael does, it's not a good movie, but there's something about it that just makes you want to keep watching. So
the campiness, I can't even. Glenn Close at one point seriously starts chewing scenery. I mean, I believe she's actually chewing on some of the scenery.
Rebel Ridge is his pick. He says it is a winner. You can see it on Netflix. It's not a big studio movie. It's a small movie, but it's really good. And Michael recommends it. Beetlejuice is just the opposite. It's a big movie. A lot of big stars are back. And it seems as though Michael liked it, not as much as Rebel Ridge, but he did like it. Does Lauren Boebert show up if you say Beetlejuice is what Agolf is asking.
I really don't know, but in that case, a little too much juice and maybe not enough Beetle.
I've adored Michael since 1989, says D. Jones. Isn't that great, Michael? You have
God, when I was a 7-year-old.
You
How
have
is this
your
even
fans.
possible?
Wow.
No, it's great to hear that. Hey,
if I say Trump backwards 3 times, does he go away? Says Louis. Very good.
One can only dream.
Yeah. Green Room and Blue Ruin were very good. Indeed,
yes.
Somebody else said that.
Thank you for the support of Saulnier's work, or Saulnier, or whatever. I'm not even sure how to pronounce his name, but he is a filmmaker to be reckoned with.
Cousin Erie says the ding word thing is just irritating.
Michael agrees.
Okay, well, maybe we'll have to get rid of it. I'm sorry.
The other thing I'm excited about, by the way, going back to San Francisco, talk about temperature envy. I'm going to be up there for a number of weeks while you're in D.C. It'll be me and Kim next Friday, albeit remote. But I'm really thrilled that the NFL is back. Monday night, the Jets versus the 49ers.
Yeah.
That Ricky Pearsall thing was nuts. I know one of our big slogans as 49er fans is bang, bang, Niner gang. We didn't mean it that way. No, sir.
I see. With that, you went through all of that just to get that line in?
Not at all. Because
the guy almost died in a shooting of Union Square. How dare you? How dare you make fun of him?
Don't color me with an ugly brush like that. I am a 49er fan for life, buddy.
Seriously, what the
You are. You are, truly. You can find Michael Snyder here on Fridays, but apart from that, he is at the Voice of San Francisco. Albert is putting up that information now, if Albert hasn't left the building. Find Michael Snyder at thevoicesf.org. You can find him here on Fridays. He comes and goes on a rainbow. Bye-bye, Michael.
Go, Ricky. Go, Niners. Woo!